Hello everyone. Today I'm going to start a new series with respect to APPSC Group 1 Prelims, Indian and Andhra Pradesh Economy and Planning. As we know that Group 1 Prelims consisting of two papers, that is GS1 and GS2, in which we will be having general studies in the first paper, and in the second paper you will be dealing with aptitude, science and technology and current affairs related issues. In GS1 paper, you will be having four parts: part A, B, C, and D, in which you will be dealing with Indian history, Indian polity, Indian economy, and geography related issues. So, as far as our series is concerned, I will be dealing with only Indian and Andhra Pradesh economy and planning of Group 1 prelims. So, first we will see what is the syllabus regarding the Indian and AP economy and planning. In part C of the GS paper 1, we will be having Indian and Andhra Pradesh economy and planning. It is consists of basically 5 chapters. 4 chapters are related to Indian economy, and the fifth chapter is related to AP economy, and the fifth chapter is divided into two parts, 1 and 2. So first we will see the syllabus and what are the aspects they are concentrating. So in the first chapter, it is dealing about basic characteristics of Indian economy as a developing economy. Second chapter is about national income and its concepts and components. Third chapter is about Indian agriculture, and fourth chapter is about financial institutions. As far as AP economy is concerned, the first aspect in AP economy is the characteristics or basic features of Andhra Pradesh economy after bifurcation in 2014. You have to remember that there is a specific word after bifurcation in 2014. Then the second aspect is about the purely about Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014. So basically this is the syllabus which was given in the APPSC website. So what is the weightage of Indian economy and AP economy in the Group 1 prelims? So as you know that in GS paper 1 of Group 1 prelims, you are having 4 parts, that is part A, B, C and D, and in which you will be having Indian history, polity, economy and geography. Each and every part will be having total 30 questions. In the same way, Indian economy and Andhra Pradesh economy is also having total 30 questions. And if you observe 2019 Group 1 prelims economy paper, you will find that Indian economy is having 24 questions and AP economy is having 6 questions. So if you analyze the previous paper, you will get to know that the weightage for Indian economy is more as compared to the AP economy. Now, why economy? That means why we need to concentrate on economy and what is the importance of the economy. First of all is that there is a vastness of syllabus in the economy. If you observe the syllabus of the Indian economy and AP economy, the syllabus is very vast and it is having very diverse aspects of Indian economy. And second point is that if you observe the previous paper, especially related to Indian economy, there is a stress on core aspects. So for instance, if you observe the previous paper, that is 2019 prelims paper, there is one question related to what is the maturity period of treasury bills issued by the government of India. It is asking about the maturity period related to treasury bills issued by the government of India, which is a basic aspect, and you must know what are the types of treasury bills and what is the maturity of the treasury bills. And one more question is that what is the basic goal of Mission Indradhanush, which is launched in 2014 by the central government. So this is also, it is a basic core question, and it is asking about what is the basic goal of Mission Indradhanush. So in this way there are many questions which are testing the basic aspects or core aspects of the syllabus. And one more thing is that there is current affairs orientation is also there in the paper. For instance, if you again observe the 2019 prelims paper, there is a question related to Basel III implementation. Which of the following statements is not correct regarding Basel III implementation in India? So basically Basel III implementation is about capital adequacy ratio, and he placed the question in such a way that you must be able to understand the Basel III concept in detail and what it is about and what are the present trends, etc. So in a way the question paper is a good mix of core concepts and current affairs orientation. And the fourth and other point is that the paper economy paper as such is crucial for reaching the above the critical point in scoring. See, for instance, it is if you score good in Indian history, Indian polity, and geography, then the clearing of prelims is mainly dependent on the score in the Indian and AP economy. So without scoring good marks in Indian economy part, it is very difficult to get a good score above the critical point in the prelims. So that is why economy paper is very important as far as group 1 prelims is concerned. Now I will tell about what is it I am going to present in this series. So I will be going in a chapter wise and topic wise explanation manner, and I will be covering the topic which I have taken in a comprehensive explanation format, and there will be a balance between core and current concepts in our series, and there will be a connection to economic survey and budget with every aspect of our topic, and there will be a discussion of previous year questions wherever it is possible, and if possible we will be discussing some practice questions related to the topic we have discussed. So in this way we will move into each of the topics. Now how I am going to proceed? First of all, as more weightage is given to the Indian economy in the paper, I will be dealing with Indian economy, and in latter parts I will be dealing with AP economy, and in which I will be also dealing with AP Reorganization Act as it is having more weightage, and if possible in between I will be dealing with economic survey and budget of recent years. So this is the way I will be moving in the series. So now as part of today's video lecture, we will be taking up the first chapter that is related to basic characteristics of Indian economy as a developing economy, and in the first chapter I will be dealing with Niti Aayog and its approach to economic development. This topic I will be dealing with in the first video of this series. So Niti Aayog and its approach to economic development. So basically what is the background? Before Niti Aayog there is Planning Commission, and post independence our leaders were more stressed on socialistic pattern of society, and there was commanding heights given to the public sector, and Planning Commission was at the helm of the planning. So in a brief background, we can say that planning has been in the Indian psyche as our leaders came under influence of the socialistic climate of erstwhile USSR. And Planning Commission served as the planning vehicle for close to 6 decades with a focus on control and command approach. So basically Planning Commission is dealing with the planning vehicle or planning aspect of the Indian economy with control and command approach and with centralizing tendency. Centralizing tendency, why I am saying is that Planning Commission is instrumental in recommending the funds or planned funds to the states. And this Planning Commission was replaced by a new institution called Niti Aayog on January 1st, 2015. And Niti Aayog full form is that National Institution for Transforming India Aayog. So this Niti Aayog was envisaged to change the concept of planning from control and command approach to modern, flexible, robust, and according to the times and needs of the economy. Post liberalization, the economy or economic scenario of the Indian economy has changed. Many restrictions on license and permit Raj has been removed, and manufacturing and services sector were allowed to connect to the global economy. Though agriculture is not being opened that much. So in a way, after reforms, there was a need of more robust policy making and more vibrant programs and more coordination with the states and more space for the private sector and market forces. That is the reason why in 2015 the government has replaced the planning commission with the Niti Aayog. So basically Niti Aayog's creation has two hubs called Team India Hub and Knowledge and Innovation Hub. What is this Team India Hub and what is this Knowledge and Innovation Hub? Team India Hub it leads to the participation of Indian states with the central government. So in a way it is saying that it is a team which is consisting of Indian states and central government. By this statement you can see that in the Niti Aayog there is more scope for viewpoint of Indian states. It is not like the planning commission which is having command and control aspect. It is giving more scope to the Indian states and it is taking into account the viewpoints of the Indian states. And the second point is the Knowledge and Innovation Hub. So what is this Knowledge and Innovation Hub? It builds the institution's think tank capabilities. So in a way it is providing the framework to work Niti Aayog as think tank to the government by giving suggestions or by giving recommendations or by providing policy framework or reports on certain aspects. It is more or less being framed as a think tank. And you know the think tanks, for example ORF, that is Observer Research Foundation, or IDSA, that is Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, etc. These are the think tanks which will brainstorm over some of the critical aspects that Indian economy or security or social issues are facing, and it will provide some policy framework. So in the same way, Niti Aayog has been envisaged as government's think tank. Next, the 7 pillars of effective governance which are envisaged by Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog has envisaged 7 pillars of effective governance. In a way, Niti Aayog is also crucial for effective governance, and in the same way, it has envisaged 7 pillars of effective governance, and this Niti Aayog is based on the 7 pillars of this effective governance. They are pro people, pro activity, participation, empowering, inclusion of all, equity, and the final one is transparency. These 7 aspects or principles or pillars of effective governance are basis for Niti Aayog, and Niti Aayog stresses on this. For example, pro people, it fulfills the aspirations of society as well as individuals, and proactivity in anticipation of and in response to citizen needs. The policies of Niti Aayog is in anticipation or in response to citizen needs. For example, Niti Aayog has recently published several papers related to artificial intelligence or several works related to artificial intelligence. This is in a way a proactive approach, that is in anticipation of what is going on in the technology field or what is going on in the artificial intelligence and what is the effect of artificial intelligence on Indian economy and lives of the people. So in this way it is a proactive approach. And then participation, that is involvement of citizenry. For instance, Niti Aayog is organizing hackathons and consultations with many stakeholders as far as many issues are concerned. So participation. Then empowering especially women in all aspects, and inclusion of all, inclusion of people irrespective of caste, creed and gender, and equality, providing equal opportunity to all, especially for the youth, and transparency, making the government visible and responsive. So these are the issues. So what are the basic documents that Niti Aayog has come up with. First one is that 3-year action agenda. Second one is 7-year medium term strategy paper. And third one is 15-year vision document. You observe the words carefully. The 3-year document is called action agenda, and the 7-year medium term document is a strategy paper, and the 15-year document is a vision document. So 3-year document is action agenda, so it is more oriented towards action or actual implementation of the Niti Aayog's agenda. And 7-year document is the medium term strategy paper, so it is the strategy in how we have to approach and how we have to implement our programs. So this is strategy paper. And 15-year is the vision document. It is more oriented towards the goal framing. That means what we have to achieve in the 15 years and what we are visualizing our Indian economy to be after 15 years. So the next aspect is that what is that Niti Aayog is emphasizing on. So what is the importance that is Niti Aayog giving, and what is the approach of the Niti Aayog? So it is basically emphasizing on bottom up approach. For instance, earlier the planning commission was more about the top down approach. That means central government or planning commission will recommend what is fit for states, and based on that it will be recommending funds to the planning funds or planning funds to the states. And there is only less scope for the states involvement and coordination between the center and states. So it is basically a top down approach. However, this has changed with the Niti Aayog, where it is a bottom up approach. That means there is a flow of information or flow of plans or flow of coordination from bottom to the top level of hierarchy, that is from village level to the district level to the states, and states to the central level. And there is emphasis on maximum governance to minimum government. So there is emphasis on governance aspect, that is participation aspect, empowerment aspect, transparency aspect, than more regulation or command and control, which is earlier used to be in the era of planning commission. And there is also an emphasis on cooperative federalism. So Niti Aayog basically treats states and central governments as co-equals, and there will be a space for the viewpoints and necessities and demands of the or genuine demands of the state government. In a way, Niti Aayog is having a horizontal relationship or horizontal coordination between the center and states, in which they will be treated as co-equals. So it is promoting cooperative federalism in that fashion. And there is emphasis on think tank approach, as I already told you previously, that it is more about the brainstorming group and which thinks on critical aspects of Indian development, for instance artificial intelligence, or for instance there is a report on centrally sponsored schemes which were headed by the chief minister, or there is a group of chief ministers on Swachh Bharat mission, etc. So it is having a think tank approach rather than a rigid structure. Another aspect is that it provides a strategic and technical advice to the government. So there is emphasis on providing strategic and technical advice to the government. So what is the reason for basically establishing the Niti Aayog? As we already discussed, that because of the command and control approach of the planning commission and because of the changed needs of the economy, the Niti Aayog, the vibrant, robust and a modern think tank type of institution is required, and that is the main reason why government has established Niti Aayog. And we will see that the main reason is that there is a nature of the nature of the economy has changed, and there is a market dominated system as far as present circumstances is concerned. So this is the one reason for establishing Niti Aayog. And another reason is that rights of the states were to be given greater consideration in this scenario, and it has to be lead to cooperative federalism, and cooperative federalism has to be given a greater scope and space in the present market dominated system. And another reason is that planning commission is overriding the sensitivities and priorities of the states. So planning commission is with top down approach and having only less scope for the sensitivities, needs and priorities of the states. This has to change, and Niti Aayog is an alternative, and that's why government has established Niti Aayog in place of planning commission. These are the main reasons for establishing Niti Aayog. So next aspect. So what is the administrative skeletal? So what is the basic administrative skeleton of the Niti Aayog? Although all these are not required, but it is important to remember some of it. So Niti Aayog is basically chaired by Prime Minister, and the vice chairperson of the Niti Aayog is to be appointed by the Prime Minister. The Governor Council is consisting of chief ministers of all states and lieutenant governors of union territories, and regional council to address specific regional issues comprising chief ministers and lieutenant governors chaired by Prime Minister or his nominee. And ad hoc membership, 2 members in ex officio capacity from leading research institutions on a rotational basis, and ex officio membership maximum 4 from Union Council of Ministers to be nominated by the Prime Minister, and chief executive officer appointed by the Prime Minister for a fixed tenure in rank of secretary to the Government of India, and special invitees are like experts, specialists with domain knowledge nominated by Prime Minister. If you closely observe the administrative skeleton of the Niti Aayog, then you can find out that scope for including experts, specialists, ministers or Union Council of Ministers, leading research institutions, chief ministers. In a way, it is representing very diverse background of people, from political to experts and government servants, that is bureaucrats. And it is also providing huge scope for Prime Minister in the way of appointment or in the capacity of chairperson, which is obvious considering its importance. So this is the administrative skeleton, and the basic or important issues here you have to remember is it is chaired by the Prime Minister, and the members include lieutenant governors of union territories and chief ministers of all states, and regional councils, and ex officio membership maximum 4 Union Council of Ministers. These are the important aspects that you need to stress as far as administrative skeleton is concerned. So I already told you about the Niti Aayog hubs. One is Team India Hub, and which acts as interface between state and center, and Knowledge and Innovation Hub. It builds the think tank acumen of Niti Aayog. And Niti Aayog has come out with 3 documents, which I already told you about: 3-year action agenda, and 7-year medium term strategy paper, and 15-year vision document. You please remember these 3. There is a possibility that there might be a question on these documents. So what are the objectives of the Niti Aayog? One is fostering cooperative federalism. Other thing is develop mechanism to formulate credible plans at village level and aggregate these progressively at higher levels of government. This is in a way example of bottom up approach, that is formulation of credible plans at village level and aggregating them to progressively at the higher levels of government. That is, it is planning and information is coming from the village level, and another objective is that to ensure the areas that are specifically referred to it, that the interests of national security are incorporated in economic strategy and policy, and to pay special attention to the sections of our society that may be at risk of not benefiting adequately from economic progress. That means inclusive aspect, it has to take account of inclusive aspect. And another objective is to provide advice and encourage partnerships between key stakeholders and national and international like-minded think tanks, as well as educational and policy research institutions. So collaborative approach, and to create a knowledge, innovation, and entrepreneurial support system through a collaborative community of national and international experts, practitioners, and other partners. And another thing is that to offer a platform for resolution of intersectoral and interdepartmental issues in order to accelerate the implementation of the development agenda, and to maintain a state of the art resource center, to be a repository of research on good governance and best practices in sustainable and equitable development, as well as help their dissemination to stakeholders, that is sustainability aspect and research and development aspect. So in order to better understand what is the Niti Aayog's functions or objectives, if you see the comparative perspective of Niti Aayog and Planning Commission, you will get some clear idea. That is why I framed this comparison. And Niti Aayog serves as an advisory think tank, whereas Planning Commission is a extra constitutional body, and Niti Aayog is a executive body. And Niti Aayog draws membership from a wider expertise, and Planning Commission, it had limited expertise. And Niti Aayog, it serves in the spirit of cooperative federalism, as states are equal partners. And in Planning Commission, states participated as spectators in annual plan meetings, and there is very less scope for the viewpoints of the states as far as Planning Commission was concerned. And Niti Aayog secretaries, to be known as CEOs, appointed by the prime ministers. Here secretaries were appointed through usual process. And in the Niti Aayog, its focus is on bottom-up approach of planning. Here Planning Commission is dealing with top-down approach. And Niti Aayog does not possess mandate to impose policies. So it cannot impose policies mandatorily, or it cannot dictate terms to the states. Whereas in Planning Commission, it used to impose policies on states and tied allocation of funds with projects it approved. So there is a mandatory imposition or tied up funds as far as Planning Commission was concerned. And as far as Niti Aayog is concerned, it does not have powers to allocate funds, which are vested in Finance Minister. As well, in the Planning Commission, it had powers to allocate funds to ministries and even to state governments. This is not viable in the 21st century economy of India. So what are the achievements so far of the Niti Aayog? For instance, Niti Aayog has provided a fair amount of information and policy framework regarding Amrut, that is related to rejuvenation of urban areas in India, and it has immense contribution in terms of Digital India. It has produced many reports and many policy frameworks as far as Digital India is concerned, and it is also having significant impact as far as Atal Innovation Mission is concerned. And there are three subgroups formed by Niti Aayog, of which consists of chief ministers of different states, and these three subgroups dealt with centrally sponsored schemes, skill development initiatives, and Swachh Bharat mission, and they have provided recommendations in this respect. So it is a good example of cooperative federalism. So these are the achievements or noted achievements of Niti Aayog. Apart from this, there are many achievements. For example, it has provided a status report or a report on artificial intelligence recently. So finally, I want to make clear about the vision document, strategy and action agenda beyond the 12th 5-year plan. So replacing the 5-year plans beyond March 2017. So with the establishment of Niti Aayog, there is a replacement of 5-year plans beyond the March 2017, and Niti Aayog has prepared vision document, as I already told you earlier, and there is a 7-year strategy document which is spanning from 2017-18 to 2023-24. And what is the basic objective of this? To convert the long-term vision into implementable policy and action as part of national development agenda. As part of this national development agenda, this new year strategy document is converting this long-term vision of 15 years into implementable policy and action. So now the 3-year action agenda for 2017-18 to 2019-20, this aligns developmental plans to the 14th Finance Commission award period. So this is about the vision document, strategy paper and action agenda of the Niti Aayog. Now we will see about previous questions as far as Niti Aayog is concerned. In 2019 paper of Group 1 prelims, there was a question which says that what is the approach which is followed by the National Institution for Transforming India Aayog in the economic policy making. This is a basic question and it has directly asked from the Niti Aayog. So for this the answer is that cooperative federalism. So this is the approach followed by the Niti Aayog as far as economic policy making, and top down model, trickle up benefit model, and one size fits all model is related to planning commission. So this is the only question which was asked in 2019 prelims paper. So based on our discussion, we will deal with some practice questions. In this, first question is related to among which of the following is the nodal agency for monitoring, evaluation, and cooperation of sustainable development goals in India? So option A is Ministry of Social Justice and Welfare, option B Prime Minister's Office, option C Niti Aayog, and option D Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The answer here for this question is Niti Aayog. C Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog is the nodal agency for monitoring, evaluation, and cooperation and coordination of, actually this should be coordination, monitoring, evaluation, and coordination of sustainable development goals in India. Second question is among which of the following is not the role of Niti Aayog? You have to concentrate on this aspect, not the role of the Niti Aayog. Option A is to act as think tank to the government. This is B. Option B is to design policy and program framework. Option C, foster cooperative federalism. Option D, to allocate of funds to states. Allocation of funds to states. Here the answer is option D. The allocation of funds to states is not the role of the Niti Aayog, whereas S12 Planning Commission has this role. Now up question number 3. Niti Aayog is a statutory body, B regulatory body, C constitutional body, and D none of the above. The answer to this question is D none of the above, because Niti Aayog is framed from the executive order. So in a way it is an executive body. So this is it for this class. For further updates, please subscribe to my channel, and I will be providing classes on a sequential manner, and I will be covering the syllabus of the Group 1 Prelims Economy, Indian and AP Economy. Thank you.